Alright, this can be attempt number 2 on this, as the first one ended up being 40 something minutes long and I wasn't even remotely close to being finished. So when I tried to really break this up into smaller parts as well as condense what's going on. So if you recall, previously, when we left off, we press I to open our inventory. You can see it opens both our quote-unquote storage as well as our own inventory and its items. So I'll grab a medkit for example. You can see it's just a duplicate. There's nothing special. So what I want to have it do is when I walk up to this and I press E on it, I want this to appear with the contents of the storage container showing here and the contents of our own inventory showing here. Now, depending on how far we get in the end of this video, we may have it so where a transfer button is working, just because I need a way to really show what I'm talking about. But we're going to focus on just making it work on the server for now. So we're not going to have this really be kind of like controlled by clients. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get started on that. So what I meant by that just then, we're going to uncheck run dedicated server. So that way whenever we play, we are actually the server. That's just going to save us some time and allow us to kind of break it down in another video, as this one's going to probably still be quite long. So first things first, we do need a way to know that we've opened, well, that we've opened our opened up a chest. So if you recall, let's scroll down to interact. When we press E, and if our ray trace, our line trace hits a pickup type of actor, we pick up that item. What we want to do is actually do another check and see if we hit a storage container. So for now, we're just going to be doing that in the interact function. We're not going to worry about doing anything from the server or anything like that, or from client to server. So if we go to our header file, where we have our variables, it's up at the top. I'm going to make it, this is going to be the reference to our storage container. So we're going to do class a storage container and call it opened container. And now what we're going to be able to do here is pretty much, if opened container is null, then we don't have any sort of storage container opened for us. And if it is valid, then it means we've opened a container and we want to view its contents. That's how we're going to kind of base it off of. Now let's go ahead and go to our CPP. We do need to include the header for the storage container. So hashtag include storage container.h, and back down to our interact. So we're going to do an else if. So else if a storage container God grief, I can't spell, container equals, we're going to cast to a storage container from actor. So if the cast is valid, meaning it is a storage container, we're going to apply opened container to equal the container that we've opened. Now I do want to have I'll actually do that here in a minute, so it'll make a little bit more sense. So if we in fact hit the storage container, we can simply open our inventory. So open, close, inventory. Now let's go ahead and build, and hopefully when we press E on the container, it should open our inventory for us to see. Then when we press E again, since we're still going to be looking at the container, it should close it and that kind of thing. Ready? And crash, as usual. I don't know why. I've been getting like kind of random crashes here and there with 4.23, and it's usually almost always after compiling from Visual Studio back into the editor. And it usually only does that once after it like gets loaded up anyhow, so I don't really know what the issue is there. So now when we try it, press E on the container. As you can see, it opens our inventory. Press E again, look up, press I, same thing. So we're good to go there. Now, go over here to our inventory base. This is where we're going to have to start making some changes. So since we do want to transfer items, these widgets, like the inventory UI and the inventory storage, they need to have some way of really knowing one another, like an easier way. So my thought here was, in our inventory UI, we could have a variable that holds a reference to the inventory storage widget. And that would allow us to call functions on it. So like we can make a function for like just sending an item over or making it appear, since if you recall, we have this array here of inventory items that's just strictly done to the client. It's like it's client's copy. So that would be one thing to do. So one way we need to actually go about doing that is we need to make it take in a parameter. So the inventory UI, let's make a new variable. It's going to have it be, we'll have it be the widget. So inventory storage widget. Type is going to be the inventory storage object reference and instance editable and expose on spawn. Now we need to actually have it set up, because there's, as far as I know, when you just like drag and drop like this, you can't, like, I don't know a way to really pass in a reference to this, so I'm not quite sure how that works. No, I still need to remove that. Like I said, I tried this before and just ran way too long. I don't think I can just, no. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to delete both of these here, and we're going to create two new size boxes in their place. So I'm going to anchor them both to center, and resize them. So 500 by 600 is what the previous ones were, and 500 by 600. Put this one in the center, so negative, actually I want this one to be the one on the right and this one to be on the left. So negative 250 by negative 150 for the Y, negative 150 on the Y, and we'll do 400 on the X. So that'll place them side by side nicely, and then we can rename it. So this one's going to be SB for size box, inventory UI, make it a variable. And same thing for this one, but for storage. So SB inventory storage UI. That is not spelled right, is it? Storage UI. So now we have these, and this is where we're going to be creating. We're pretty much going to be creating our UI and storage widgets and making them childs of these size boxes so they fit and look the same. So on our constructor of the inventory base, this is where we are going to be. And I actually need to delete these as well. Oh wait, no, those are the size boxes, duh. We need to create the widgets. So right click, create widget. And based on how we're going to do this, I'm going to actually create the storage box first. You'll see why here in a second. So inventory storage, yeah. And then we need to, actually we need to check something first. We need to have a way to check if our open container is null or not. And if it is null, then we will not create a storage container. If it is valid, then we will create the storage container. So let's make a, scroll down somewhere. Make a new U function. Make a blueprint callable. We're going to make it return it. So it's going to be class a storage container get opened container. Now we simply make it return opened container and build. Alrighty, so now we can get access to our player, so get player character. We're going to cast it to survival character. And as a survival character, get open container. If it is valid, then we will create this widget. So we can actually make this into a separate function. Create widget of type inventory storage. Then we need to add it to make it a child of the size box. So let's get our size box and add child. The child is going to be the widget we just created. And then we simply, from the widget, add to viewport. Compile and save. And nothing should open, just like so. But when I press E, yep, as you can see, it opens. So we're good to go there. I'll deal with that later. Error later. So now we can actually set this up into a function. Make a new function, create storage widget, and copy it all over, and paste. Whoops. Alright, now let's drag this out. Now we have to do pretty much the same thing for our own inventory. So I'm just going to make a new function, so create inventory widget, and just, let's see, we'll just copy everything over and edit it. Alrighty, so get rid of the open container. Alright, so we're going to create the inventory UI. As you can see, it takes in a parameter. So we're going to deal with that here in a second. So we're going to go to the size box for the inventory UI and make that our inventory child. Wait. I don't need to cast anything. Why am I doing that? Alright. So now we need to get access to the inventory storage widget. So when we create it, we're going to create a new variable, inventory storage widget. It's going to be the type inventory storage object reference, and we will set it right after we create it. Oops. Alright, hopefully that will work just as well. And back in our event graph, we should now be able to create our inventory widget. Whoops, just fine, hopefully. Alright, so let's play. Press I. Our normal inventory opens. When we press E on the container, both open. So here's our inventory, and here's our quote-unquote chests inventory. Okay, so we have that set up. Now let's see. The inventory storage. So currently this is literally just off of our own, like our own personal inventory, so it's going to display the same thing. So if I pick up this med kit, press E, it's going to display on both. We need to fix that. So we're not going to be going off of the inventory component, and like our own inventory component. Instead, we want to figure out a way, we need to get access to the inventory component of the chest. So if we go back to our C++ class on storage container, there is a function for getting the inventory component, which simply returns the inventory component. So we need to get, we're actually going to make that blueprint callable. So what we can do is just ufunction, make it a blueprint callable, and compile. Alright, so now we need to get access to the, let's see here. So get player character. We're going to cast it to survival character. Then we're going to get open container. Then we are going to get inventory component. So we're going to pretty much put this inside of get player inventory component. And then we're going to rename it. Alright, so compile save. Let's rename this to get inventory component. Compile save and go back to the event graph. So now we can call get inventory component and then make sure it's valid and just continue it on like this. So now it should, oops, hang on. I forget to connect these up. So now it should, in theory, we should have access to the inventory component of the actual chest. But we don't have a way to actually prove that right now, as we don't have any sort of system to add an item to it. And so let's see here. I mean, I guess we actually could, by making our T-array editable from the editor, so we could pre-add items and stuff. Alright, so let's see what's next. Let's just make sure everything's good real quick. Oh, yeah, that actually is. So, it's reading from our inventory. As you can see, it's a lot more slots. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24. So we have 24 slots. Go over here. Where am I going? So, but you saw it kind of, it wasn't very wide, so the scroll bar itself was kind of taking up room for it. So we're going to create the X, the size from the X to 515, and that should fix that. Yeah, it's pretty, I'd say it's pretty close. So yeah, now we have it still as the 4 by, what is it, 6, 3, 6, yes, 4 by 6. So now everything's fitting just like it should. I don't remember where I changed it to that many items though. Oh well. So now, what am I doing? I guess one thing we can actually do real quick is make it so we can change live. I don't think we can do that yet currently. Where did I put it? Blueprints, storage. Inventory component. Yeah, there's nothing editable in there. So we're actually going to make in the storage container.h our inventory component editable. So property edit anywhere and build, and this should allow us to access our inventory size and change that up. Alright, so if you recall, that previously was a 4 4 by 6. So here we can change the size. Actually, it's showing 16. No, that is not default. Alright, so now it should show just a 4 by 4, like so. And now if we crank this back up, let's go up to even 28. Now we should have quite a few slots, just a much greater overall inventory. We can do all that in here too. Alright, so now we can modify our container size real easy. So back in our inventory storage blueprint, or widget, let's see, I guess we can move on to transferring items over so we can actually see it. Trying to think how to exactly go about doing this real quick. So we have our button for transfer, but this was our drop button, I think, that we had originally just renamed to transfer. So we can really I guess we'll just leave that as is for now. So we're going to focus on the transfer from our own inventory to the storage. So in our designer, let's go to transfer, click the button, and we're going to do an on-clicked event. And from here, let's see, we need to make sure we have a valid item reference. So item reference, drag that off, check if it's valid, and if it is, then we will continue transferring. Alright, so from there, let's see, that's valid. We need to check if the inventory storage widget is valid to make sure that that is opened up. Alright, so if the item that we have clicked on is valid, meaning we clicked on an item, and our inventory storage widget, meaning we have a chest or storage container open, is valid, then we will continue on. And from here, alright, so we have access to the widget, and we have access to the item, which we are returning that, aren't we? Okay, yeah, we're returning the actor. For a second there, I was thinking we were returning the inventory component for some reason. Okay. So we will can actually make a function to transfer items in our inventory.h. So we will do this, we'll just do this at the top. So we're going to make this blueprint callable. So u function blueprint callable, call it void transfer item. Then we're going to need to make it take in two things. Alright, we'll make it take in the container that it's going to and the item. So that would be a storage container and class A pickups item. Let's create a definition. Do a simple check if container and item. Alright, so if the container and the item are valid, what we can do here is, so we have access to our own, actually I did not include that, did I? Yeah, let's go ahead and include the storage container at the top of the inventory.cpp. So include storage container.h. Oh, and I do see a problem here. Previously, to save a little bit of network traffic, I had it set to replicate our inventory only with the owner, and that was before I kind of thought about doing the actual storage container. Well, if we have the inventory items only replicated with the owner, then the items are only going to be replicated to the server. For example, since the items are being spawned on the server, the items are only going to be really known from the storage container to the server. they're not going to be known to other clients. So what we need to do is remove the condition to make them so they are globally replicated and no longer replicated with just the owner. So let's go back down to transfer items. So they're both valid. Let's see, we go from container, we can add the item to the container. So add item, is that not public? Oh, get inventory component. Let's check and make sure it actually has, make sure it's valid. So if inventory component, nope, it's just inventory. So container inventory equals container get inventory component. Really need to rename inventory to inventory component. Don't know why I did that. Then we will add it. So C inventory, add item, and we're going to add the item we're passing in. Then from there, since we're currently in our own inventory right now, we will remove it from our own inventory. So we simply call, we have a function for this, remove item from inventory. So we're going to remove it, and that's just going to remove it from our inventory array. Alright. So let's think real quick. That should be okay. Let's go ahead and just build it. Alrighty. So we have access to our inventory storage widget, which we are going to end up needing later. So that's going to determine whether or not it's open. So what we can do from here is what was I going to do? We can get our own inventory component. Then we can call our transfer item, and this is going to be the container. We can actually rename that to container 2. That'll make that a little bit clearer. And then the item. So item's going to be item reference, and I'm pretty sure, at least I thought I was already getting our own item. So let's go ahead and get player character. We're going to end up changing this up a bit. Player character, cast it to survival character. Get open container. So we need to do that right after getting the inventory component. Oops. And we're going to pass in that open container to the container portion, our container pin of our transfer item function. And that should hopefully actually kind of work. It's not going to update immediately or anything like that. Press E, click it, transfer, open and close it again. Alrighty, it did not work. So let's see what we need to do here. Let's make sure first that we're actually full on running. So I'm going to print a string. Alright, so when I press transfer, it is not displaying the string. So what are we having an issue with? It's the inventory storage widget. we're never passing it in. So when we create our inventory UI widget, we were leaving this empty, so it was never really thinking that our inventory was open. And that's obviously a key part. Alright, so we have our inventory storage widget, and are we ever setting it? We are. So now it should show. Alright, so click it, transfer, test is showing. Let's open it again. And as you can see, our inventory, well, our medkit is now out of our own inventory and into the chest there. So let's go ahead and actually try it with multiple clients. So the server is on the left and the client is on the right. So from the server, well, let's just show you on the client first. So client, there is nothing there. The chest itself is empty. And on the server, where's my mouse? There it is. We're going to transfer the health kit. So we transferred it on the server. Let's go to the client. And as you can see, we have a health kit there. So the inventory is being transferred successfully to the chest. Now I'm going to stop this here because I'm not 100% sure how long this video has been going on, and we will continue this in another portion where we make it so that little update is kind of rapid. So like for example, you don't have to close and then reopen your inventory. We're just going to make it refresh like that, like we did before. So now that this is all kind of set up and working, actually let's go ahead and reiterate real quick as usual. So from our survival character, we have our function that gets our open container, and that open container is only set when we press E on a container, obviously, because we're using our line trace function for interaction. Then on our blueprint, when we are creating it, we simply call our create storage widget, which creates our inventory storage widget and stores that widget in a variable. So for when we create our own inventory widget, so we made this take in a parameter which is the inventory storage widget, so they can reference one another and use it as a way to tell if the chest has actually been opened or not. So in our inventory UI, that's what we end up doing. So first off, when we clicked our transfer button, for one, we make sure we have in fact clicked a valid item, and two, we make sure our inventory storage widget is valid. So that way we know for sure like that we did in fact click a, or that we did in fact currently have a chest or something open. And from there, we simply get our inventory component as well as the access to the open container, in which case we call our transfer item function. Now the transfer item function is being called on our own inventory component, not the open containers. So the reason we're doing that is we're going to end up making another version of this that instead takes in a survival character. I guess we could actually just make it take in an inventory component of itself. That would probably be a smarter way, but we'll deal with that in a later video. So when it calls this, it's simply, keep in mind this does not run on the client right as of yet. If both the container that we're passing in, such as the storage container, and the item that we're passing in are valid, just to do a double check, then we simply get access to the inventory component of the passed in container. We add it to that container, and then since we are on our own inventory, we remove it from our own inventory. So we're passing and then removing afterwards. And it's going to be the exact same thing when we go to transfer item from a chest to ourselves. It's just going to be in reverse. So instead of going from our own inventory to the container by passing in the transfer item, like the target being ourselves, we're going to make the target our container and the container ourselves, if that makes sense. So hopefully this is kind of getting you into the right mindset of what we're trying to do in here and accomplish. So I will see you in the next one where we continue on this.